Hello. Good morning. It is 9:49 a.m. Eastern Time, and this is DD Live. I am DD. That's my name now. No, it's just a short form. My name is David. But we have a good show today. I have a good show today. So, Alberta, talk about that. What happened there? Deep dive on Alberta. And there is so much that, I could spend probably 6, 7, 8 hours on Alberta. I'm not going to, for the sake of all of us, but I will address some of the things, some of the issues and things that have been said in the past by the individual that won, or I shouldn't say the individual, the party that won. And then some other stuff. So Marianne Williamson on Mehdi Hassan's show, which I have not yet watched, so we will watch that together. And Ted Cruz goes woke. You'll see. All right. So what's going on, people? I like seeing the active chat here. Tyler Hackner, active in the chat, was very angry with me this morning. At least that's how it appeared. Because he's like, the first comment I get on this live stream from Tyler, again? ? He's bothered because there are other morning shows that are more important than mine. That's fine, Tyler. You can go watch those morning shows. Go watch, Morning Joe. We all know you're a big Morning Joe fan. So go watch that. But I'll be here when you decide that it's better in this chat. But regardless, I'm not sure how regular this thing's going to be. I did the stream yesterday morning. I'm doing one now. My plan is 2 to 3 times a week. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then, cut some clips from these live streams. If there's any big news that happens on a Thursday or Friday, I'll do those on those days. But I don't know. I'm enjoying the morning live stream, so I will do this for now. And I'm somehow prepping these stories early in the morning. I don't know how I did it, but I prepped this Alberta one, and it's a big one. Crystal says, I love watching you at this time. Fantastic. UC says, you do you. I rather like the spontaneous streams. That's it's very tough for me to be consistent in terms of a time and a day and a place. I don't like feeling strapped down to any schedule, which has likely hurt me in many ways, and my ability to, get more of a support base or viewer base on YouTube. But I'm too independent to feel like I'm strapped to any kind of timeline. It's just not, I can't do it. But for now, this is working out. And I like getting this out in the morning. It gets a lot of my work done early, so I can use the rest of the day to edit out clips and, do my normal stuff that is not streaming. But all right. A lot of active people in the chat. Great. Okay, so I'm going to start with Alberta. I'm not sure how long this will be, but it's I don't want to say too much till I actually start, because if I make any point now, I want it to be in the actual video. All right. So the province of Alberta in Canada, in case you didn't know, has re-elected a majority conservative government, or more specifically, a united conservative party majority. So this is, I guess, to be expected, considering Alberta is often seen as Canada's Texas. That said, the leader of the Conservative Party, of the UCP, is incredibly stupid. So it doesn't help the situation. Let me first start by showing you the results here. So I'm going to get to comments around healthcare, around workers' rights, around some other stuff. I'll get to a clip from CBC News, shows a bit of the speech, the victory speech and all that. But first here, these are the results. So Alberta re-elects UCP majority government. Here they are with 49 elected seats and NDP at 38. The NDP, the New Democratic Party, is in Alberta very conservative. So, if you're not a Canadian, you may not completely understand this, but the provincial parties are separate from the federal parties, the national parties. So the NDP in Alberta is not the same as Trudeau's, or I should say, not Trudeau's, it's not the same as Jagmeet Singh's NDP. It's much like the Liberal Party in Alberta or another province isn't the same as Trudeau's Liberal Party. So they are very separate. And I'll get to that here, because the Beaverton has a great headline here. Election day, Alberta decides between a traditional conservative government and whatever the hell the UCP is. Joking that both are conservatives, because the NDP, and this is true, the polls are open as Alberta voters consider whether to elect a right-wing party devoted to low taxes and substantial governmental support for fossil fuel industry, the NDP, or to re-elect a party that can't talk about vaccines without mentioning he who shall not be named. So, yeah, to have an even further right-wing party than not only your NDP here, but your traditional conservative party is, I guess, what is to be expected when it comes to Alberta. But first, a bit on the NDP, just quickly here. This gives you an idea of kind of where some of their focus is. This is one of their campaign promises. Alberta NDP will eliminate taxes for most small businesses. This is what I don't understand about this strategy. If you are someone who is a conservative voter, you are concerned about this, you're concerned about, you care about the oil industry. Trudeau's oil and gas policy is too harsh for Rachel Notley. Rachel Notley is the NDP leader in Alberta. So if you're, and by the way, Trudeau's oil and gas policy is nowhere near where they should be. So if you are concerned about helping the oil and gas industry, and not about workers' rights, because that's not what this discussion is about. We're talking about just massive corporations in oil and gas. If you're concerned about that, if you're concerned about low taxes for businesses, why would you vote for the NDP over your conservative option? As someone who is, if you're running to be an alternative vote, a different choice, you should maybe differentiate yourself from conservatives. This is the same kind of tactic that is used a lot in the US with a lot of Democrats who try to be the Republican light candidate as opposed to differentiating themselves as an actual left-wing candidate. And they end up losing, because why would a conservative vote for a Democrat over an actual Republican? Same problem here. So that isn't to say their whole platform is this way, but when you have these sorts of attempts to reach out, especially to the oil and gas industry, I just don't see who are you winning over? What voters that are going to vote on this issue? Why would they vote for you over the conservatives? It doesn't make any sense. But you also have this. This is from Ricochet, another great resource, Canadian resource. Is an Airbnb lobbyist running Alberta NDP's election campaign. So, all these corporate ties to oil and gas, you can't expect to get a lot of people out to vote for you if you're just going to be the conservative light option. And from what I'm seeing from the results, turnout was around 50%, if not a little less, meaning that to elect a majority UCP government, you had about 26% of people in the actual province vote for government. 26% of people, approximately, elected a majority government. This system's messed up. That's, part of the issue there with first past the post as opposed to any real electoral system, but that's a whole separate discussion. I also just want to show you that, NDP did have other issues they cared about, so they did want to invest more into healthcare, of course, creating jobs, but a lot of stuff here, affordable housing. So at least, attempts to try and do a little more for people, but I still find it bizarre to, especially on the issue of oil and gas. And I understand Alberta, big oil and gas province. But again, why would those voters that really are going to vote on that issue, why would they vote for you when they have the UCP? Now, let me get to a quick breakdown here. I just want to do the first 2 minutes of this from CBC's report, and you'll see a bit of the speech here from Danielle Smith, the UCP leader.
This win, hard fought.
Many folks wrote us off, even just as recently as last month. But you know what happened? Despite it all, today, Albertans chose to move our province forward by re-electing a strong, stable, united, conservative majority government.
A victory that hinged on success in Alberta's biggest city, Calgary, home to nearly 1.4 million people and exactly 26 seats. Voters hear the prize in this election divided.
Taxes, I would say, is a big thing, and just generally personal responsibility.
Everyone's equal rights to education and healthcare and whatnot, and so I feel very strongly about that.
I don't want stupid people leading my governments.
Signs
More on stupid people in a minute here.
Of this election everywhere in battleground Calgary. The NDP kicked off their campaign here.
My name is Rachel Notley and I am running to be your premier.
The UCP did the same.
At its heart, this election is a choice between moving forward or going back.
Both leaders spent much of the home stretch of their campaigns here too. Both parties promising hundreds of millions of dollars in spending in the city if elected. The UCP offering to pitch in on a new NHL arena. The NDP pitching to build a downtown university campus. A testament to just how important the province's biggest city is in this election.
Everyone's said it, that's all anyone's talked about, and it is. It's important. That's where, most of the ridings that could go one way or the other are.
Calgary voters not just picking a winner in their city, but charting a political course for the entire province.
All right, so just notice some of the language from the supporters for the UCP as well as the leader herself. We are moving forward. They're moving backward. You will notice this with a lot of successful conservative parties. They pretend to play, or they play to a working class progressive base in their language, when in reality, of course, that isn't how they actually function. And I'm going to get to more examples on that, especially when it gets to workers' rights or lack thereof under the UCP and how they frame that whole issue as well. But it's about, choice, freedom, moving forward. Very vague terminology where the underlying policy doesn't actually represent any of those terms. Now, starting with how stupid Danielle Smith is. This is amazing. This is really amazing. So this happened, months ago. Alberta Premier exploring pardons for COVID-19 related fines and arrests. The Alberta Premier apparently did not realize that Canada is not America. That she does not have the power to pardon people. But She tried to anyways. And in the process of that, Premier Smith breached Conflicts of Interest Act, says ethics commissioner. So the finding focused on contact with Justice Minister in relation to COVID-related charges. So she discussed with her Justice Minister a way to try and pardon this pastor who was charged with breaking the law. When you can't do that, you can't. There are no pardons. So this going back to this guy claiming, I'm not going to vote for stupid people. Well,
I feel very strongly about that.
I don't want stupid people leading my governments.
Well, look, I'm assuming he's a conservative voter. Maybe he's not. But it seems like that whole part of the video was talking to conservative voters. If you don't want stupid people, then you got you got the wrong person in there. Now, they eventually, she had to reverse course on that when she realized, oh, wait, I can't do this. I'm not a president. It's just so dumb. And by the way, Canada Land, they had a good podcast. If you want to go deeper on that specific case, they have a really good podcast breaking that down. Now, let's get to some other issues. So, Danielle Smith has spent, this is from Press Progress, spent decades pushing to privatize Alberta's health system. So this is another issue that you are seeing pop up more and more, is conservative politicians in Canada discussing the privatization of healthcare. All you have to do is look south of the border and see how the healthcare system looks there. Is that what you want? When you give private healthcare companies more power, they take it and they use it to their advantage because their whole purpose to exist is to generate a profit, to make money for themselves. So they will do everything they can that is legal for them to do. And when you open that up, they will do that and take advantage of it and bankrupt the public system, as we have seen many examples of. So in terms of Smith's history, it goes back, as you see here, to 2003. In a June 2003 op-ed, Smith lamented that Canada's right-wing politicians lacked the will to privatize healthcare. This is the Premier of Alberta. They lack the will to privatize healthcare. Quote, politicians simply don't have the stomach to reform public healthcare so it will actually work. Like in America, right? Such as adopting internal markets, allowing private healthcare providers to proliferate, charging user fees, and implementing co-payment systems. In a 2004 op-ed titled Blueprint for Fair Health Premiums, Smith complained that the elderly and others who are sickest do not pay more for healthcare services. And it's not just, 20 years ago. This has been a consistent theme with Danielle Smith. In a 2021 article for the University of Calgary School of Public Policy, Smith pitched a spending account as a way to normalize healthcare user fees. Quote, once people get used to the concept of paying out of pocket for more things themselves, then we can change the conversation on healthcare. Smith wrote further, where this model has the opportunity to make a major difference is healthcare. There should be similar options. So she wanted to normalize healthcare user fees. Do I need to explain the problem here? I have done video after video after video on how horrible the private, for-profit American healthcare system is. There is no reason, no logical reason, apart from your own money, maybe your investments into private healthcare. There is no actual legitimate reason that will help people in terms of moving towards a private system. There's no benefit to it, clearly. That's why every other industrialized nation, apart from America, has some kind of public system. Because many of them were there once. They had a crappy public or private system, and they realized, hey, this doesn't work. Who benefits? For profit providers. Executives benefit while everyone else loses. Yet when you have a public system, you all pay into it and it benefits everyone because you're all paying into it. It's there as a safety net that everyone at some point will need. So the idea of like charging the elderly more, at some point you're going to be old and will need healthcare more than younger people. Does it make sense to then further bankrupt you as someone who's already struggling? In many cases, the elderly are struggling with a lack of ability to live, to pay for food, to exist. Does it make sense to then put that burden on them when they're already struggling with enough? There's just any basic analysis of this position exposes how empty all of it is. Another example of this, Alberta's surgery wait times up, total surgical volumes down since UCP privatization deal. So this is around privatization of some surgeries. New report finds Alberta is among the worst in reducing surgical wait times in Canada. So just the top line here. A new report from the Parkland Institute finds that the privatization of surgeries expanded under the UCP's surgical initiative has not only failed to relieve hospital wait times, but actually diverted resources away from the public system. In 2019, the Alberta UCP introduced the ASI, the Alberta Surgical Initiative, to move surgeries to for-profit chartered surgical facilities, according to the former premier Jason Kenney, quote, ensure that people get needed surgery in 4 months or less. But the report shows it has failed at that. All these promises around privatization, like the most charitable take on this is that there are people around them who have convinced them that this is a good idea. People that work in private healthcare have convinced them. That's the most charitable take, is that they're stupid. Now, let's get a little bit on labor. So again, as I said, I think at the beginning of this video, it's impossible to get into every single issue in this campaign and what this party's about, but these are some of the broad strokes around some of the major issues. And labor law is a major one. So the UCP has made Alberta's labor laws the worst in the country, according to experts. And a lot of that here from albertaviews.ca. There's a great piece here. So I'll just read a couple of quotes from this. So Jason Kenney, the former premier, part of the UCP, before Danielle Smith took over, began his attack on worker rights by targeting teenagers. In June 2019, the UCP cut the minimum wage for most workers under 18 from $15 an hour to $13. Kenney's rationale was that lower minimum wage would mean more jobs. Quote, $13 an hour is a heck of a lot more than $0 an hour. And that's the option here. What? What a weird argument. Like, well, at least you're making $13 an hour and you're not a slave making nothing. Is that the bar? You should be happy to not be a slave to employers? Very bizarre argument here. There was and still is no evidence that lowering wages creates employment for youth. The only indisputable outcome was more money in the pockets of low-wage employers and less for students, many of whom were saving to afford rapidly rising post-secondary tuitions prompted by government funding cuts. So these kids who you're increasing the cost of tuition while decreasing how much they make. And your excuse is, well, at least you're making something, as opposed to being a slave to your employer. And of course, it didn't create more jobs. That whole, why would it create more jobs? Jobs are created based on demand for that job. If the demand is there, the job will come. The extra money that is now in the pockets of employers just goes to the executives at these companies. Why would it go back into more jobs when the demand for those more jobs is not there? The UCP also left the regular minimum wage to languish at $15 an hour during Kenney's time in office, despite the cost of living rising over that period by 8%. Some 300,000 workers, mostly adult women who have permanent and long-term jobs with large companies, bore the cost of this policy, while the beneficiaries were, again, low-wage employers. So, labor policy that strictly benefits employers. executives, while again claiming that they are for people, for the worker. And you're going to see some of that in the framing here, which is amazing. A different way to control workers' compensation costs would be to reduce the number of workplace injuries. In late 2020, Copping, who was the labor minister, introduced significant changes to Alberta occupational health and safety rules, which he framed as, this is important, he framed this as improving safety for Alberta workers and making workplaces safer. You see how they frame these issues? Much like I showed you earlier with the video with Danielle Smith, and how they're moving forward and they're for freedom and choice, when it is the opposite of what they are saying. So they claim improving safety for Alberta workers and making workplaces safer. In reality, these changes gutted the powers of workplace health and safety committees to make workplaces safer, including eliminating the requirement for regular inspections, and made it harder for workers to refuse unsafe work. How is that improving safety for Alberta workers and making workplaces safer? The voters that complain about politicians being politicians, lying to people and talking out of two sides of their mouth, those are the same voters voting for this dipshit party. Because they're being fooled by language like this. And part of the issue is it's easy to blame the voter. It's very easy. In fact, I would like to blame the voter. It would be very simple if that was the problem. But the issue is largely around media, but also how people consume media. So even if there is media, and there is media like this, pointing out the correct thing, the masses aren't seeing this. They're not consuming this. And so there's a whole, the issues are, of course, as I said, media, but the issues are also the NDP. And to be fair, I didn't watch closely how the NDP ran their campaign in Alberta. Maybe they brought this stuff up. Maybe they were hammering all this stuff. But I would highly doubt that they were making it as clear as they could have when it comes to what the UCP has been saying versus what they've actually been doing. And another example of that, finally, the UCP made changes to Alberta's rules about overtime that allow employers to impose so-called agreements on the averaging of weekly work hours. These agreements allow employers to delay the payment of overtime premiums. Minister Copping nonsensically framed these changes. So again, look at the frame. Okay, so this allows employers to delay overtime premiums. Minister Copping framed these changes as expanding choice for workers. What? Delaying overtime premiums is expanding choice for workers, when in fact the choice of whether or not to pay overtime is granted solely to the employers. The upshot of the UCP's overtime changes is that employers can require employees to work up to 208 overtime hours per year, roughly 5 weeks of additional work, without having to pay any overtime premiums. And this is expanding choice for workers. Not getting paid overtime is somehow expanding choice for workers. Given that an estimated $3.3 billion in overtime was paid in 2018, the UCP's changes transferred untold hundreds of millions of dollars from workers to their bosses. This is what voters in Alberta voted for. This party that clearly is lying to your face. It's clear, and they get away with it because their voters are dumb. And they're dumb because of the media they're consuming. So it's not just because, they were born dumb. We're all born dumb. But if you're not consuming the correct information, you're going to continue being stupid. And it's a problem that, of course, bothers me a lot because there is so much misinformation, so much lying out there from people in positions of power, including people in media. And the media treating these sorts of races, as you saw here, like I showed you the breakdown from CBC News here, and you could argue, well, it's a good neutral breakdown. Is the job of the media to be neutral, or is the job of the media to be objective to the facts, objective to what is best for the vast amount of people? So CBC should be, in my opinion, these straight news pieces should be framed not through the lens of neutrality, like this side says this side says this. It should be framed through the lens of what is objectively best for society, based on what experts in the field say, based on what has happened. Again, because experts can say anything. There can be experts on all sides, but based on examples of what have actually happened. Like, for example, the surgeries, privatizing that and how that has not been successful. Or the language around workers' rights and expanding choice for workers, when in reality it's done the opposite. That would be actual reporting the facts. But instead, they always play this game of this side does this side does this, and I don't know what the real reality is. Who knows? That the media does not help in taking no position. They have to give you what the facts are, and they can be honest. They can be like, "Hey, if you're a greedy boss, then UCP is great for you," because that's who they benefit. If you're a wealthy executive, vote for the UCP, and you don't care about the rest of society, vote for the UCP. But that, again, is not how any of this is framed. Last thing here, and I'm not going to go deep into this because this is a whole other topic, but the Narwhal here, another great Canadian resource, says what Alberta's new UCP government means for the environment, from foregoing emissions caps to fighting federal environmental policy. Here's a breakdown of what to expect from the Premier Designate Danielle Smith when it comes to the environment. So, big breakdown here on that. I'm not going to go through all this, but you can imagine the most conservative party in Canada, probably not good for the environment when you are from, especially an oil province like Alberta. So this is just, I guess to be expected, unexpected result. But for me, this comes down to turnout. When turnout is as low as it was, that shows you that the NDP could have done a lot more to reach out to people who don't normally vote. That's how they would win. Not by appealing to the oil voter, but by trying to appeal more to people who actually need their support. But they chose the UCP. All right. That's Alberta. I just realized I wasn't recording. That's fine. I'll have to take this from my live stream later, but whatever. All right. Let me hit record now. So I'll get to Marianne on Mehdi Hassan's show, which I have not watched. I'm curious how that went. Let me check some comments. Nadia says the CBC is public. Yes, they are publicly funded. They're also privately. I mean, they have commercials too. It's not just public funding, but and the right tries to claim CBC is so far left, like it's so ridiculous. Like the CBC is a lot better, in my opinion, than say CNN in the U.S. But is that the bar you want to put yourself to? Like, again, there should be a much clearer discussion here on what these parties actually do, as opposed to just what they're saying. All right. Let me get to... Celeste asks, what did you eat for breakfast? I had a cinnamon raisin bagel and scrambled eggs. That was my breakfast. The past 2 days, actually, I've eaten that. It was good. It was good. All right. So I haven't watched this video. Let me find it. Bring it up. There's actually... So I saw this clip. I mean, I didn't see it, but I saw that it exists. But there is... I'm guessing a longer discussion. Let me see if MSNBC has posted this interview. Indeed. All right. You know what? Let's watch. Let's watch through this, and then if later on I may just cut bits and pieces out of this whole thing. So Marianne Williamson, who is running to become the Democratic nominee for president. It's a tough road with Biden as an incumbent, but regardless, she was on Mehdi Hassan's show on MSNBC, and I have not seen this yet, but I want to watch this through with you and show you how she did. I'm curious because we're talking about a network and I should say a host in Mehdi Hassan, who is probably the best host that MSNBC has in terms of someone who is more forward-thinking, more focused on the rights of workers, human rights generally. And Marianne Williamson's platform is very pro that. It's essentially the Bernie Sanders platform that she has taken on. But when you combine that with a campaign that has very little chance simply because of the fact that Biden is the current president, this is not like 2016 when Obama was, leaving. We're talking about someone who is current president and challengers to him. So I'm curious how Mehdi Hassan is going to, juggle those two things in this interview. But let's check this out.
Before the 2020 Democratic primaries, Marianne Williamson had already made a name for herself as a best-selling author and self-help guru. Her book, A Return to Love, won praise from Oprah Winfrey, saying she had, quote, never been more moved by a book than by this one. Williamson went on to become almost a household name in 2019 when she ran for president in the Democratic primaries and gained attention in particular for this comment she made during the second debate.
If you think any of this wonkiness is going to deal with this dark psychic force of the collectivized hatred that this president is bringing up in this country, then I'm afraid that the Democrats are going to see some very dark days.
She also made a very eloquent case in favor of reparations for slavery, and that night became the most searched candidate on Google. And although Williamson later dropped out of the race, she's remained politically active ever since, becoming popular with younger voters, especially on platforms like TikTok. And now Marianne Williamson's entering the presidential race again, this time against sitting President Joe Biden, painting herself as the more progressive candidate. Williamson recently laid out what she calls an economic bill of rights, which runs to the left of President Biden's economic policies and includes the right to a job that pays a living wage and universal quality health care. But given she can't win, why is she running? Marianne Williamson joins me now all the way from London. Marianne Williamson, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know it's late where you are. Let's start with an obvious question. Why are you running against Joe Biden? Why do you believe he does not deserve a second term as a Democratic president?
You said a couple of things tonight that were interesting. You said, well, he has given more investment in green energy in the Inflation Reduction Act than had ever been done. Yeah, but he also approved the Willow Project, which completely nullifies those investments. He's also given more oil drilling permits even than Trump did. So this idea that he's done more investment in green energy, please let's not pretend this is the great.
By the way, if you're curious about the Willow Project, I did a video on that when that whole thing went through. Just search Willow Project or Willow on my channel, and you will find it.
Climate change president. You also mentioned that he cut child poverty in half. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, he did with the child tax credit. And guess what? 6 months after they did it, it expired and they didn't bother to permanentize it. So there are a lot of ways in which the president has said that he would do things. He's made some incremental changes. I don't want to not give him credit where credit is due, although you did just now. And I think that clearly, if we really want the kind of economic reform that the people of the United States deserve, which certainly was not granted to the American people tonight with this very, very sad negotiation with the debt ceiling, then we're going to have a president who says like it really is and makes the changes that are necessary.
I've also spent much of tonight criticizing his negotiations with the Republicans. Just to be clear, since you mentioned the debt limit, before we get to everything else, much to discuss with you, what do you make of the debt agreement? What would a President Williamson have done differently?
You know, it's interesting because when you spoke about it, there was sadness in your voice. And then when Robert Rice spoke about it, there was sadness. This was a sad night. First of all, I would never have negotiated with economic terrorists. Kevin McCarthy was not a good faith actor here. The president does not play to win. And this was a perfect example of that. So why he was ever negotiating, there were some legal scholars who said he could invoke the 14th Amendment. Others said even if you don't invoke the 14th Amendment, there were other ways he could have gotten the money. So when you say what would the president have have done, President Williamson have done, I would never have negotiated with that man. The Constitution of the United States says that our faith will be good, we will be in good faith, our bills will be paid, and our bills could have been paid. I would not have negotiated with that man.
So what do you say to those who point out that, yes, you are popular with younger voters and on TikTok, but you can't win a Democratic presidential primary? You're essentially a spoiler candidate. And so by primarying Biden, all you're doing is weakening him in the general and making it easier for a Republican to beat him in 2024 in what will be a very tight election.
Well, there are two things about what you said. First of all, you said I'm a spoiler candidate. I'm not a spoiler candidate. I'm running in a primary. So you can't be a spoiler if you're running in the primary.
That's right. She's right. Like, Mehdi Hassan's a smart guy. I'm not sure why he would call her a spoiler candidate. What's she going to spoil? It's a primary. You can't, you're not, what are you spoiling? They're all Democrats, and it's a primary, and Biden's the president. Again, maybe it's possible Marianne can win a state. I don't think so, but regardless, you're not spoiling anybody. It's a very bizarre comment from Mehdi Hassan there.
The second thing you said was this narrative you can't win. Isn't that what people said about Donald Trump? I will win if people vote for me. I believe that in a democracy, people should have as wide an array of options before them as there are candidates running on agendas. That's what a democracy is. We need to protect our democracy right now. That's obvious to everyone. The way you protect your democracy is by using your democracy. Candidate suppression is a form of voter suppression. So this idea that I'm a spoiler, no, I'm not a spoiler. I'm a candidate in a primary, and it's very important, I believe, that the president debate me, that the president debate any other people who are challenging him. At a time like this, when the fascists are clearly at the door, we should be having a very serious conversation about what it will take to defeat them, and not just accepting what the DNC has to say because a few elites have decided it's going to be Joe Biden.
All right. Her point there about wanting a debate and wanting to be in this discussion. There are a lot of people who think Marianne Williamson is dishonest in her intentions and that she is running to, sell books, to raise her profile. And my point is, even if that is true, and that may be true, I don't know. I don't know Marianne Williamson personally, so I don't know what her intentions are. But what matters is the output. In terms of this discussion, in terms of this whole debate, what matters is what is she saying, and are those issues being discussed in a public forum? Her intentions ultimately here do not matter if she does the right thing, if she says the correct things, if she props up the right issues. Let's say, for example, Bernie Sanders, who is the most genuine politician I've ever, in terms of national politics, I've ever seen. But let's pretend Bernie Sanders is fighting for higher wages, for healthcare for all, because he likes to see his name in headlines. Let's say that's why he's doing it, because he wants to be famous in his latter years. Okay. Does it matter if you still get healthcare, if your wages still go up, if corporations still get taxed? Why do intentions matter there? They don't matter. So while it would be nice that if every single person was genuine that was running for public office, which is definitely not true, while it would be nice if that was the case, what ultimately matters is what your output is. This is also why it doesn't matter whether or not Trump is personally racist in his, behind closed doors and what he says, because what he outputs is racism. Same with DeSantis. What they output is bigotry and racism. It doesn't matter if in their own minds they are wonderful people. They're kind to their families. That doesn't matter. What matters when you are a public figure with a platform and power, what matters is how you use that platform and that power. So the same case here in this race. Williamson's intentions here do not matter. What matters is what she is saying and what she is platforming.
Well, if you're a viewer of the show, and I don't know if you are or not, I'm very clear about the fascist threat, which is why I worry about a divided opposition to a fascist threat. And just to be clear, you're right, Donald Trump did win against expectations. But to be fair, Donald Trump entered the 2016 race and led in the polls throughout. I think there was one brief moment where Ben Carson overtook him. Otherwise, he led the entire time. You got, correct me if I'm wrong, you never went above more than 1% in the polls in 2020. So I have to ask, what makes you think 4 years later, yes, now is my time?
Okay, first of all, I've been up to 11% this time, right? That's number one. And number two, there is an ameliorative effect in somebody telling the truth. Somebody needs to tell the truth about this country, which the American people know. Please remember, Mehdi, 70% of the American people do not want him to run again. The American people, you have 70% of the American people who live with chronic economic anxiety. You have 64% of Americans who cannot absorb a $400 unexpected expenditure. We have 60% of Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck. 1 in 4 Americans live medical debt. You have 18 million Americans who cannot even afford to pay for the prescriptions that their doctors give them.
Agree on all of that. So what are you proposing to do that's different to Joe Biden? Briefly explain to our viewers, what is your policy platform, briefly?
My policy platform is that the American people should have an opportunity for an economic U-turn, for fundamental economic reform. We should have the same things that every other advanced democracy has. We should have universal health care. We should have free college tuition and tech school. We should have free child care. We should have paid family leave. We should have guaranteed sick pay, and we should have a guaranteed living wage. We should have an economic bill of rights. We have a country where there has been a massive transfer of wealth into the hands of 1% of our people. It has completely destroyed our middle class, and it is now baked into the cake of how our political system operates, that we will continue to make it easier for people who already have to get more and everyone else to struggle to make it. The majority of Americans live with constant economic anxiety in the richest country in the world.
So I agree, Marianne, with your analysis, and I agree with a lot of the policies that you're outlining. The issue is, I guess, you. And you mentioned Donald Trump. I spent a lot of time on this show referring to Donald Trump as the former reality TV star, not just to be snarky, but also to remind people that he had no business running for president. He had zero experience, zero qualifications. And with respect, doesn't the same apply to you? I mean, I may agree with a lot of your policies, but that doesn't mean that you, Marianne Williamson, self-help author, best-selling author, former spiritual advisor to Oprah Winfrey, are qualified to lead the country, to be commander-in-chief, to run the federal government, to have your finger on the nuclear button. Doesn't experience matter?
Before we get to her answer here, she's not going to be president. So like, this is a discussion that I'm, you know, it's hard to know how to frame this, because on one hand, Mehdi Hassan's saying you can't win. On the other, he's saying, are you ready to be president because you're just a best-selling author? Is that enough to be president? You can't have both, right? Either you think she can win and you don't think she's qualified enough to be president because she's just an author, or she can't win and she's using this platform to simply spread this message and try and bring these discussions, these policies into the conversation in some way. So it's either or, right? You can't have it both ways. So, which is why I'm of the perspective that she can't win, because Biden is current sitting president running again. Incumbency is incredibly powerful. She's polling currently under Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's at like 20%. And it's not because he's popular. It's because his last name is Kennedy, and he's an alternative to Joe Biden. People, I'm making an assumption here, but I think it's a fair assumption that most people don't actually know much about Kennedy and don't know that he is incredibly anti-vax, anti-science. He has been recently buddying up with some conservative donors, some right-wing donors. I would bet that most people answering Kennedy in polls are simply saying that because they don't want Biden again, not because they really love Kennedy. So it's just, I feel like you have to kind of pick a lane here if you're going to criticize her. But you know, his job as a journalist as well is to kind of explore all avenues. It's not really, you know, I guess his job to pick a lane in this situation. But I think it's important to be clear that if she can't win, then it's weird to criticize her for not being ready to be president if you know that she can't win.
Yeah. Well, let's look at what those experienced people have done for us. Look at all those experienced people who took us into Iraq. Look at all those experienced people who kept us in Afghanistan 20 years too long. Look at all those experienced people who have not raised them.
I agree with you, but also look at Donald Trump. That's the guy, that's the last person we had, and he had no experience.
Donald Trump's problem as president was not that he had not been in politics. It's the nature of his character. If Donald Trump had had a different kind of person who surrounded him, Donald Trump would have been a different kind of president. And, you know, the founders did not say that in order to run for president, you had to have had political experience, because they were leaving it to every generation to determine for itself. What are the qualifications for a leader at this time? My qualifications are that I've been around enough to see how this country operates. I've been around the very rich and the very powerful. I've been around the very disadvantaged, do not have money, do not have power. And I've seen how this country operates. I've seen it up close. And I am in this candidacy saying what everybody knows. This society is rigged at this point. This society is not even operating as a real democracy. We have already moved into the area of oligarchy, whether it's oil companies or defense contractors, insurance companies, big pharmaceutical companies. They run this country, Mehdi, and you know it. I've heard you say it.
And I said to you, I agree with you on a lot of the policy stuff. But let's talk about you again. You mentioned character. Politico in March interviewed 12 of your 2020 campaign staffers who painted a picture, quote, of a boss who can be verbally and emotionally abusive. All 12 former staffers said you screamed at people till they cried. 3 said you threw phones at your staffers. You've denied all those allegations, I know, called them categorically untrue. And yet last weekend, your deputy campaign manager resigned, and then your campaign manager resigned back to back. Why is it, Marianne, that so many of the people who work for you don't seem to like working for you?
Well, how come so many do, number one? Number two, I've never thrown a phone, okay? Have I raised my voice? Absolutely. I've never thrown my phone at someone. I raised my voice at times, and I'm sorry, you know, if you were tried in a court of law, there are rules of due process, and the person who is being prosecuted has a chance to bring up their own witnesses, etc. When you're tried in the media, they can say anything. If I, in raising my voice, have offended anyone or made anyone feel bad in any way, then I am sorry. But that doesn't mean that I think that the narrative that was painted in that picture, in that article, was in any way true. And once again, things like through a phone, never.
Okay. One final question. We're out of time, but I've got to ask, just to be clear, yes or no, will you support the Democratic presidential candidate in 2024, whoever it is, against the Republican candidate, whoever that is? Yes or no? You
know, Washington, in his farewell address, warned us about political parties because he said people could be more into supporting their factions than their country. I will support my country. I will do everything I can to keep a fascist out of the White House. But I agree with Franklin Roosevelt. We will not have to worry about a fascist takeover in this country as long as democracy delivers on its promises. Democracy is not delivering on its promises. I will do whatever I can to help the American people vote for an agenda by which democracy will deliver on its promises. That's the way to keep a fascist out of the White House.
Marianne Williamson, candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination. Thank you so much.
I think Marianne Williamson absolutely will endorse Joe Biden. Why wouldn't she? I don't think it wouldn't benefit her personally to not do that. But also, I do think that she ultimately does care. Whether or not, again, about her intentions, who knows? But in terms of, getting rid of a fascist or preventing a new one from coming in, I do think Marianne Williamson is genuine in that. And she endorsed Biden last time. So, why wouldn't she do that now? But I don't know. I think that was a fairly fair interview. Brought up all sorts of issues, including some workplace problems that it's hard to know how to comment on that stuff without being there and knowing those people and all that. Of course, it doesn't sound good. And all these people quit and talk about it being kind of a crazy place to work. But her argument is, hey, more people have worked for me or are working for me than have left, which I guess is also a fair argument. So whatever. I'm more concerned about how she's using her platform and how she would use it if she did gain any kind of power. And I think, regardless of any intentions there, I do think that ultimately she would do the right thing if she had power. But she doesn't. And it's very, very unlikely that she will, based on how primaries work during a time when you have an incumbent Democratic president. So it's going to be less of a fun race, this one is, because you're not going to see debates. The DNC is not going to have any open debates around the primary here, which I do think is, I mean, it's clearly anti-democratic, but from their position, yeah, that's like, it's not at all surprising. So I can't pretend that's like news that they're not going to have debates. Have they had debates in the past during incumbent challenges? I don't. Maybe decades ago, but not recently. So that's not surprising either. But I don't know. It's Marianne Williamson's relevance in this primary depends completely on whether or not the media actually covers her. So this interview is good for her. It's having any kind of interview for Marianne Williamson is a positive for her, because this is all she really has to go on, is this kind of attention, because otherwise this entire campaign is completely irrelevant. All right. Law Gnome says, President Hudson 2024, can he count on your support? And in brackets, Tears of the Kingdom is great. Tears of the Kingdom is fantastic. I checked my playtime last night and it said 40 hours, which blew me away. I didn't think I put 40 hours into it, but I guess I have. Just been playing it like here and there, like an hour here, hour there, and it all adds up. And time really does melt away in that game. It's an amazing thing. So, oh yeah, we got woke Ted Cruz. We got that. And then discuss stuff with the chat it up with you fine people. I was going to maybe play a game today as well as yesterday, but I'll have time. I'll have lots of time. Maybe. I just have nothing hooked up. Maybe more Boltgun. Since I streamed that yesterday, and if you go back and watch that footage from yesterday, it does not look good. And that's because I was running at 30 frames a second, and the game runs at 60 frames a second. This stream should be 60. Actually, I'm going to check right now just to make sure. Yes, it is 60. Fantastic. So maybe I'll do more of that, since I'm having a good time in that game. And then it's lunchtime. Toad Cruz, says Peter. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Toad Cruz. All right. Let me grab these tabs over here. Put these ones back. All right, here we go. Republican Senator Ted Cruz has gone woke. It's true. And there has been some serious backlash to Ted Cruz's wokeness. So I'm going to show you this. And of course, he hasn't really gone woke. This is more just acknowledging, I guess, the obvious. But I do have some questions around why he would share this. And I have less questions around the reaction to it, because the reaction was completely a given considering what the right-wing base is. But this is what this whole story stems from here. So the New York Times tweeted this out saying, the president of Uganda signed a punitive anti-gay bill on Monday that includes the death penalty, enshrining into law an intensifying crackdown against LGBTQ people in the East African nation. It is one of the world's most restrictive anti-gay measures. Ted Cruz responded, believe it or not, saying this: the Uganda law is horrific and wrong. Any law criminalizing homosexuality or imposing the death penalty for aggravated homosexuality is grotesque and an abomination. All civilized nations should join together in condemning this human rights abuse. So, I'm going to play the intentions game here. We have no idea why Ted Cruz decided to weigh in on this randomly. Maybe since then he's come out to discuss why. I'm sure he wants to kind of not discuss this anymore since the backlash he got that I'll show you in a second here. But my one suspicion is that I believe one of his daughters came out as bi or lesbian, and that may be him here trying to win some daddy points by making a comment like this. So that's one part of it. The other part is this, ongoing thing that the right does where they look at other countries and they're like, oh, look at your human rights abuses. You're terrible. And of course, it's often nations that are, when they are focusing their criticism, it's nations that aren't white. There are a lot of white nations that do horrible things, including America. Terrible human rights abuses. But they don't focus on those. They focus on the other, of course, as a way to help fearmonger and generate anger. And that could also be part of the motivation here as well. That said, it is just bizarre for Ted Cruz to come out and be pro-human rights for LGBTQ people anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world. But the reaction was swift. So Dylan Burns has some screenshots here. I can scroll down too and see some of the reactions. But he tweeted some out. So tweeting out saying, Ted Cruz saying gays should not be executed and arrested for being gay seems to be too woke for part of his base. So that was the initial tweet. Here's a reply saying, woke Ted Cruz from Philip Oliver Hull's alpha male. Okay, you gotta question how many of these accounts are even real people. Who would call themselves alpha male? Like, that is a serious, but like, what serious person would put alpha male in brackets beside their name? Come on. Scott Henderson here says, globalist Canadian masquerading as a fake cowboy says what? I bet you utilize the woke terms of minor attracted people and younger attracted persons behind closed doors. Natural Law here says Ted Cruz is... Okay. Can I even say this on... That's just blatantly homophobic. That's disgusting and anti-life. Would you hate life, Ted? Or sorry, why do you hate life, Ted? Gay is not okay. Jake here says, I think you've been hacked. Let's just scroll down. I haven't scrolled down, but I'm curious. What are some of the reactions? And of course, Twitter, because it's Twitter, have generally prioritized blue check marks at top. Oh, look at this. The first one isn't. That's stunning. Beth, who is a great tweeter, tweets out, hi, Ted. How do you think Uganda became emboldened to pass such a law? Could anything that's been happening in the U.S., such as in Texas and Florida, have set the tenor for the law Uganda passed? That's true. So I didn't explore this or prep anything for this story, but I believe, from what I remember around this new law, there are American ties to it. So American anti-gay groups have helped to push their anti-gay agenda all across the world, and I believe Uganda is a part of that as well. So it's very likely, actually, that this entire new set of laws in Uganda is because of the influence from American-based anti-gay groups. John Miller here says aggravated homosexuality is defined as intentionally infecting another person with AIDS or having gay... Okay. I think he's criticizing Ted Cruz. I don't even know what the point there is. All right. I'm afraid of scrolling out of pictures because some of the pictures on Twitter end up being something I can't really show on screen. Now, that was fine. But, okay, so there's some positive reactions here. Rare Ted Cruz W. On this, we can agree. Some of the comments are wild. See, so everyone that agrees with him here don't appear to be actually Republican voters. Going again to why did he do this? But it's just to see any any opposition to the idea that, I don't know, maybe people should not be executed for loving who they love. It shows you the sad state of at least some of the conservative base. But I would be curious to see, you know, people on the street, have a reporter go out and ask just random voters at a Trump rally, for example, or a DeSantis rally. Ask them their thoughts on Uganda's new law. I'm just curious what their initial reaction would be to that. Because they have to wrestle with two things. Are they that despicable of an individual to support something that grotesque? Combined with, or I should say, does their bigotry, is their bigotry more important than any shred of humanity they may have within them? I don't know. At this point, it's very hard to sort of predict how far the right can go with some of these issues, and I think this is another example of that. All right. Spin me a sailcloth. One of my favorite names I've seen. Says, good morning again. Loving the early stream. Love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. All right. That's it for the prepped stories, I believe. What else did I have here? I saw this. I wasn't going to make this into a video, but this was just weird. Landlord lobby board member, this is in Canada, deletes quote-unquote insensitive tweet about Hamilton landlord. He claimed that a Hamilton area landlord was pushed to murder his tenants by the failures of the landlord-tenant board. So there was recently a landlord that killed two of his tenants and locked himself in the house. There was a big standoff, and I believe he either ended up killing himself or the cops got him. But this guy who's on the landlord lobby board apparently thinks, well, that's what's going to happen if you don't pay your rent. Get murdered. Some people, man, are absolutely crazy. So, I mean, anyways, there's more on that. I don't, there's a whole story, but that's kind of the extent of it. Dumb shit people post. All right. Let's chat a bit. Maybe I'll play this game now. Let's see if this all loads properly. So I'm going to keep this monitor connected because I don't want to stand up. Which may lead to this thing crashing sooner than I want it to. You know what? I don't want this to crash. So I will be right back. This will take 30 seconds. And then I will game a bit and chat with all you fine people. All right, I'm back. Outputting 60 hertz as it says. Do you see that too? Just me. Let's see if this thing turns on. I believe it's working. There we go. All right. Down here. Good. Everything appears to be functioning. So, I'm going to move the chat over here so I can actually see it. Oh, man. I got some real gamers in the chat. I love it. Shy Guy says, thoughts on Ni no Kuni and Valkyrie Chronicles, bro. Please. You really need my thoughts. I think I only played a few hours of Ni no Kuni. The battle system was not really grabbing me. If I stuck with it, I'm sure it would have grew on me. But the whole moving around the arena, positioning yourself, combined with the turn-based. Like, I almost rather just give me action RPG or give me turn-based. Try and combine the two is just it never. I've never really had a system like that for me land. It's always trying to ride the two kind of battle systems. So that part of it kind of turned me off, but it's the kind of thing where if I pushed through it, I'm sure I would have latched onto it, but I just didn't. Valkyria Chronicles. So hold up. There are so many games. Okay, I don't know why in my mind I keep messing up Valkyria Chronicles with Valkyria Profile, or that's Valkyrie Profile. There's so many games that are named Valkyria something. I only played the demo of Valkyria Chronicles, and I was not. Oh wait, sorry. Again, I'm thinking of. There was another game last year that came out called Valkyria something, but yeah, Chronicles. So it's great. I haven't played all 4. I think there's more than 4, but I think there's 4 main ones. But I've played a lot of the first one. Really dig it. It's even though actually that one is kind of a combination between turn-based and action, but I like the way they do that. All right, so I think I'll do Boltgun, but I'm curious because I forget what else I have on this console. This one's in my office, so I don't always play this, but. Okay. I haven't got Overwatch 2 on this one. Man. I've not played that in a long time. Since it came out. Alright, let's stick to... We'll stick to Boltgun. I could also do Advance Wars or Zelda. But... I don't know. Are you ready for Diablo 4, David? Says Ryan. I am. The problem is... I'm still playing Zelda, and then at the end of this month, or the end of June, is Final Fantasy 16. So there's too much out right now. They should have spread this stuff around. It's doob time. Not this early. If I smoked this early in the morning, I would not be able to function the rest of the day. I play PlayStation 2. I'm torn between the two. So PlayStation really is my home console. I'm normally on PS5. The reason why I got Boltgun on Series X is because, or Series S in this case, is because it was on sale. It was like $4 off. So I'm like, you know what? This game is new. It's on sale, $4 off already. I'll take advantage of that. And there isn't much of a difference between this version and the other version. And also because this is in my office, I can actually stream this game as opposed to my PS5, which isn't, which I have to carry around. And I don't really want to do that. I'll turn down the volume a bit. I noticed the game audio was a bit loud yesterday, so just bring it down a bit. Not this early. I'm half a bowl in, says Big Bad. I would like your life. Sounds like fun. Martin says, "Hey Dave, first time watching you live, but love your videos." Thank you. 40K is lit. It really is. This game is great. It is absolutely fantastic. And it should look better today since I'm streaming at 60 frames a second. I do wonder how many of you actually care about that stuff, but I care. Let me look at this. Make sure it is streaming as good as it looks. All right. So yesterday I was in some closed castle area. It was a little claustrophobic. Today it's a little more open. I like it. I like being outside. So in case you missed yesterday, this is a new game. Brand new. It's called Warhammer 40K Boltgun. This is heavily inspired, as you can probably tell, by 90s era shooters like Doom and Quake. And I have been loving this formula. there is another game called Proteus that is similar in its motivations, and also it's a fantastic shooter like this that are, I guess they're, all the kids are calling it boomer shooter, boomer shooter or doomer shooter. I prefer doomer shooter as I think it's more accurate. Boomer shooter, this era was more Gen X. I mean, I'm sure boomers played this as well, but there are also many boomers and older fighting against the existence of games like Doom. So to give them credit for Doom-era shooters, I think is just wrong. So, Doomer shooter in a tongue-in-cheek way, or I should say, Boomer shooter in a tongue-in-cheek way is fine. But Doomer shooter, I just think is more accurate. So this is the rocket launcher. Shotgun is incredibly satisfying, though since I'm outside, it doesn't make much sense right now. It's a vibe. It is a vibe. It's a cool little medieval sort of it's like metal medieval kind of mix. I don't know all that much about Warhammer lore, but you don't need to enjoy this. What if I could... Can I make this jump? Hell yeah. There we go. There's maybe half of Gen X that may be less inclined toward this sort of thing, says Nadia. It does look... Hold up. I'm looking at the stream now. It's still a little pixelated. Like, more than it actually is, in like when I'm playing it. I want to check my settings here. I want to make sure this is actually streaming at 1080. It is. That's bizarre. That's bizarre. I don't know why it's doing that. Also, the YouTube chat box is not appearing on screen. Let me just do something quick here. I'm gonna try and bring this up. Since I'll be on here till about noon, so for the next like 50 minutes or so. So might as well have chat on screen if I can get it working. I didn't do anything. Aquatic says, what about Doom Eternal? There seems to be an update for it almost every week. I don't think I haven't played Eternal. I think I have it because it was like a free PS Plus game. But I did play the first, like the one that came before that one. I think it was 2018. And that game, the online in that game is really good. And they did not bring it back for Eternal, which is why I didn't play it. Like, I would have played that game if it had online. It has sort of like, I guess, you know, a smaller online base, and maybe that's why they didn't want to revisit or redo that online again. But it was quick, it was fun, and for some reason they didn't feel like they wanted to continue it, unfortunately. All right, I'm going to find this chat thing, make this work, and we'll all be good. That's weird. It may just not work. Bizarre. I'll keep this open in case it works. All right. It's unfortunate that this, even with 60 frames a second, the game is not looking as clean on here as it should. Encoding problem. Yeah, it's an encoding. It must be an encoding problem because at 30 frames it was artifacting even worse. But moving it to 60 hasn't really improved it that much. Alright, so a lot of this is about finding keys and opening doors, as a Doom game would be. And then trying to kill every enemy and find every secret. Diablo is going to be fun to play on stream. Hopefully less artifacting with that. It's not going to be moving as quick. That's it for up here? What the hell? Okay. The whole time behind me. Is 600 milligrams of THC edibles a lot to eat at once? That sounds like a lot. In Canada, they sell them at like, I think it's like five a piece. Like it's ridiculously low, to the point where, you know, I've had a couple of gummies that have been, you know, officially sold gummies, and I don't feel a thing. It's nothing. But 600, it seems like it's going a little overboard. Should probably get out the rocket launcher and finish this job a little quicker. Can I get up out of here? Hell yeah. Yeah, see, there's like little quality of life improvements over those 90s shooters, like climbing over a ledge, which helps to make this feel a little more modern than just like a, you know, a Doom game. Not to mention you can look up and down, which of course is, you know, a major upgrade. Was I here? I think I was here. I think I was here. Oh, I'm seeing arrows. It's like, go this way. Let's see. No, I'm going down now. Should I be going down? I don't think I was here. What does this do? There we go. Alright. Rocket it is. Oh, man. News then gaming. Interesting combo. It's the greatest combo. There is no better combo. In fact, remove the news and you have the best combo. Gaming. That's it. That's all you need. See that hook up there? There are these random frame freezes, which is so weird for a game that doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot. Like, it's not really pushing the tech envelope here. So I'm not sure why there are these problems. But it's so infrequent that it hasn't been a real issue. But it does. Did it again there. It does. Now it's doing more. What the hell? That's several times now it's frozen. It's like the I think it's the flame. The flame effect is a little too demanding on the system. Trump and Biden eating pasta is the best AI video? I haven't seen that one. That sounds ridiculous. Oh man, I'm getting... Okay. Let's find some help. I gotta say, I do appreciate the arrows on the floor occasionally here. Because this area I'm in looks exactly like the area I started in. So if those arrows weren't there, I may just think I'm at the same place. Jesus, this thing takes hits. Again, froze. Weird. Have you pressed F much in this game? I'm using a controller. I'm playing on Xbox Series S here, which also may lead to why there are some freezes. I wonder if the PS5 and X version experience this. This is more like Quake 3D. Yeah, it's definitely it's clearly Quake and Doom influenced here. Aquatic, Dead Space remake is fantastic. Find some time to get into that one. It's the only horror game I've actually thoroughly enjoyed. Here we go. Got myself a key. DD needs a new capture card. I assume that means capture card, CC. What is he using now? I am, what do I got? I got two. This one's for the camera. This one that I'm using now, it's in my, it's in like a bunch of wires, so I'd have to look at it. I don't think that's the problem though, because I've streamed before, and so I just noticed the chat is appearing where the chat's appearing in my widget, but it's not appearing on screen like it's supposed to. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, I don't think it's the capture card. It's because I've streamed before and it's been fine. You can go back and watch like my Zelda stream. It looks great. What else? You know, whatever else I've played. So it's weird to me that there's all this artifacting on just this game. So I'm clear and the game isn't. Maybe there's a setting that I haven't... Like, this thing's plug and play, so I don't even know if there's a place to look at settings. But, I don't know. I'm gonna play, like, after this, I can't do it now because it'd be boring to watch me fiddle around with tech. But, sometime today, I'm gonna play around with settings and see if I can fix this problem. Green Mind says, my mom played Doom in the 90s when she was pregnant with me. What kind of impact did that have on you? Are you into gore? Are you a goth? You're stuck in Tears of the Kingdom? Where? Or maybe you shouldn't tell me if there's spoilers. But in that game, I feel like you can't really get stuck because if you... I mean, you can, but then you just go do something else. There's so much to explore in that game that if I go anywhere where I feel like I can't progress, I'll just, you know, find a shrine, find some seeds. Explore the depths. That was the wrong button. Holy crap. I wonder if I switch the capture cards, have the other one do my camera, and or have the game one do my camera, have the camera one do the game, if that's going to improve the problem. David asks, are you an achievement trophy hunter? Not really. With achievements, definitely not. With some trophies I have, because I feel like I like the way trophies are set up better because there's a platinum trophy that you get if you get all the trophies. So there are some games where I've been close and I'm like, you know what? I'll go do these last few tasks to get these last few trophies. Like in Sonic Frontiers, I have the platinum trophy in that. And I went from being a hater, a total Sonic hater, including just assuming Frontiers would be shitty because of the reviews, to playing it because it was on sale. I'm like, you know what? I'll try this out. It looks different, at least. Having not really enjoyed any Sonic game, like thoroughly enjoyed any of them. I find the platforming in Sonic to be just not, it's not my thing. But what is this weird freak? But Frontiers is fantastic, and it's the kind of game where if you do enough exploring, then you get the platinum. It's just kind of hitting a bunch of checkboxes, and I did that, and it's great. And also I have like several platinums, but it's not something I really make a point of, unless I really like the game and I'm willing to kind of go through with it. Like Ghost of Tsushima, again, I got a platinum there because that game is freaking awesome. So I had no problem going back into that one. Holy shite. Alright. I don't want to die today. So back up. Figure out where I am. Waste of a grenade. Alright. I think I did that. Not every millennial is a synth left LARPer, but there are too many of them. What's synth left? Synthetic, like fake left? Damn. More spawning all around me. Holy. Jeez. This pink shit's like homing. Homing in on me. Who's doing that? You freaks. Gotta get out the big guns. Enough this dilly-dallying. Like into synthesizers? That's what I was thinking. People on the left that are super into synth music and synthesizers. Like freeze pop? I like me some freeze pop. That freeze messed me up. Again. Well, the area is sanctified, so I'm fine now. Apparently it's not. Guy's right here. More freaks. Secret that I don't even need right now because no one's around me. I really could have used that earlier. Wait, what's down here? There's two sides. Alright. The guns sound sick. They are. You definitely feel the impact of the weapons. It's well designed. In fact, all the sound in this game is really well designed. The music's fantastic. The atmosphere. Punch and Pie. I never picked you for a Warhammer fan, David. I don't know Warhammer, but I know this game. I've only played, in terms of Warhammer games, I've played Space Marine which I kind of I didn't work on, but I did some marketing on the PC side with that game. And this. I don't think I've played any other Warhammer game. But I know it's like a big, popular franchise, but I don't understand much of it. I just know 40K is like a year. I know that. And there's something before 40K. There's like 30K. Maybe there's no K. Is there 0K? What happened in 0K? Is there Warhammer 0K? What happened then? Like in the Warhammer universe, how was it all created? Do we know? Wonderful. Space Marine 2 footage looks mad? Mad, or did you mean mid? I forget how it looked. I think I saw a trailer, but I forget when that was announced. Was that a Game Awards thing when it was announced? That game was fun though. Really good third-person action game. I believe that was a THQ published title. I forget who made it. Alright. Where should I go? Up or down? I will say Zelda's kind of broken my brain when it comes to games, because I'm looking down here and I'm thinking, hey, I can go down there. And then I can go up through the platform and then be up here. But I can't do that in this game. That is a Zelda feature. But, oh, I can get down anyways because there's platforms there. Okay. Secret. Let's get down here. Find some more secrets. Holy shit. Barely noticed you. I'm like reading chat while I'm being mauled here by flying space monsters. I need oh my lord, let me get out of here. Goodbye. There's way too many of you. Out of nowhere. Who are you? Holy shit. I need to know that no one's behind me, so I'll stand right here. Time to die. Enough. It's enough of this. I am very close to death. 22 life. No, 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 no. Almost jumped off the ledge. Okay. I need to find where the hell I can get some life. I do not want to die here. I'm not sure when the last save was, and if I save now, probably not a good idea either. Okay. A bunch of you just died. Anyone drop health at all? Nobody? Alright. Oh, jeez. Here's some help. Like 3. No! It's all good. grapple hook. That'd be sweet. A nice grapple hook. I could use that here. Lester says, so what's the point of all this bloodshed at the end? I don't get it. I was listening to a serious conversation / analysis until you launched this game. Why? Because, Lester, I like to have fun sometimes. Is that okay with you? I'm killing space monsters. Is that a problem? How does that invalidate anything I said earlier? Like, this idea that anyone has, and this is, Lester, maybe you're just trying to make a serious point, but we should be appealing to everyone, meaning that, hey, you should be allowed to enjoy yourself. Like, all this serious conversation is very important, but if this is all you're engaged in all day, if all I did all day was read the news, I would do something to myself that I can't say on stream because they would demonetize my channel. Like, I would not be able to exist in this world. I need to have fun. I need to live. I need to turn my brain off. If I didn't do that, I would not be able to have a serious analysis or conversation about anything. I would be marred in serious depression. So, yeah, I'm having fun. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You can watch anything else. I'm not sure where it reloaded me. I'm at 4 health. This is ridiculous. I'm not gonna make it through this. I'm dead now. Castrine says, all serious and no fun makes David a dull boy, or whatever the line from The Shining is. Exactly. And look, many people did leave earlier. I had a bigger audience. They left. They didn't complain. They were just like, this isn't for me. That's fine. If you don't want to watch me play games, I'm not going to be like, how dare you leave? No, if you stay for Marianne and Alberta, you must stay for me killing space monsters. I'm not offended. You don't have to enjoy everything I put out. You don't have to enjoy the entirety of a stream. That's perfectly fine with me. $11:30. All right, I'm getting ready for lunch, so I'll probably be off in about 20 minutes. So I'll take all your super chats and all your chats, but super chats, but all your chats. Warhammer 40k is pure fantasy. Exactly. Vote for Sauron says, I wish my political shows had more games in it. I agree. Celeste says, okay, thank God I'm exiting now. Goodbye, see you tomorrow. All right, you can leave, but I'm going to talk about some serious political stuff. The end of the stream. I'm not, probably, unless someone brings up a topic that I want to talk about. All right, I'm at 250 health. Okay, that's fine. I'm guessing this is before they all spawn and kill me. What if I just like run to the end? Here's this. I need this gun to kill these things. That is very important. I should also chainsaw more. There you go. That's what I have to do. Utilize the chainsaw. Or maybe just like run to the exit. Oh wait, I can't. They have bloody doors. Okay. Alright, this is where I get rocket launcher on my face, on my face, on my face. Or they don't care for the flying ones. Maybe I should dress more casually for these streams so that when I get to the gaming, people aren't offended. They expect very little. But because I'm wearing like a dress shirt, it's like, look at this serious Politico playing video games, killing monsters. How dare he? How is the game? I want to pick it up. It's great. I just wish I didn't keep dying right now. I'm playing on medium because that's typically where I play unless I just want to play through the story. But I don't know. Maybe I'll bring it down a little bit. The game's been doable till now. I feel like my health is just dropping like a rock in a way I have not been experiencing till now. Denise says David's well-deserved break. Thank you. What about when AOC played Among Us? Yeah, I know. Like, I'm sure there were... I don't remember them, but I'm sure there were criticisms of her playing a video game on Twitch. And how boomer and dumb do those people look? Actually, now that I'm saying this, I am vaguely remembering the pushback from the right on that and how dumb it made them look for being anti-fun. How dare AOC enjoy herself? Doesn't she know she should just be in town hall so she could be yelled at by me? Like, it's a really ridiculous... It's a ridiculous existence that none of those people live themselves. So to try and ask for someone else to have no fun in their life, like, it's just so... It's so stupid. Alright, enough of you freaks. This is enough. How am I down to 86? Okay, I need a new strategy. Whatever I'm doing is not... It's not working for me. I'm dying at insane levels. Here's some health. Perfect. Maybe that's the secret. Get near death, find that health pickup, get shot a ton by this guy with a chain gun. It's enough out of you. Nope. That's terrible. Run away. That's my new strategy. Run away. What was that Republican strategy? Walk away? What was that guy's name? What was that guy's name? You know what I'm talking about. Where it was like it was that... Wasn't he like a failed actor? Another one? Who was being paid by the right to be like, walk away. I was a Democrat, but now I'm walking away. I'm now at the RNC. And then I think he was caught at Jan 6th, and then he ratted out a bunch of people. That's my memory of that whole thing. I just forget his name. Holy! Yeah, walk away. What was his name? Someone knows it. I keep dying. Somebody knows. That guy was an embarrassment. Complete embarrassment. Chainsword the Blue Horrors. Is that what I do? Okay, maybe I'll do that. Not the Dilbert guy. No. It was... I'll find this right now. Walk away campaign. Brandon Straka. That was his name. Brandon Straka. He was so clearly not genuine in what he was doing. It was so obvious he was doing it for a paycheck. Like, he came off so disingenuous. And then he appeared at, I think it was the RNC. He gave like a speech. And he came out high on something. Because he was like, he kept giggling to himself. It was really, the whole thing was very bizarre. But that was the whole thing. Walk away. Democrats aren't delivering, so I'm now a Republican. Does that make sense? I think he was gay too, so it was the whole idea was like try and influence the LGBTQ community to support Republicans. Okay, you must die. How many of you flying freaks are there? What if I focus on them first, and then I do this thing where I run around in circles, and then eventually die after 5 minutes? It's worked well so far. I need to find out who's giving me the most damage, and then kill them. You know what the problem is too? I think I'm killing a lot of people near explosive barrels, and that's hurting me. If I just chill back here, nobody will ever bug me. I'm seeing a couple of health icons. Holy. It's like one shot takes away 20 health. Okay. Gonna grab some of this, and then I'm gonna run like hell to, I can't do it right now because I will be killed. I need to somehow get the giant health packs that are on that platform that I'm nowhere near. If I just do this. Oh, I was right there. There were more right there. Press Y for taunts. I'm not. I know there's a taunt button, but what does that do? Does it make them take more damage? David says I'm playing this game while you are to see where some of the secrets are, so I don't miss them when I get to that level. I know it's cheating, but I don't care. I'm sure there are guides online that already list all that stuff. It is funny to have a dedicated taunt button for a single player game. I agree. That's why I haven't used it. I don't see the purpose unless there's like a purpose that has not been made evident to me. Okay, what time is it? I should be able to do this in the next 10 minutes. Okay, I'm at 250. Where is the... I always forget which direction's which. Okay, so this is where all the health is. And there's some down there too. So... Okay, you're already coming at me? Alright. Maybe I'll just stick here for now. If I do that, maybe they won't spawn on this platform. Or maybe they will. Right behind me as I die. What the hell just happened? Knocked off the platform there. Okay. Health isn't too bad yet, but I'm gonna chill around here because I need it. I'm sure I will. Grab that armor. Man, that armor went down very quick. Pre-exploded barrel so I don't die later on. Someone said I should chainsaw the blue ones. Maybe I'll try that. Wow, that took off a lot of health. Holy Christ. What the? Jesus. I'm so dead. Run! There we go. Got some health. Back up. Let's go this way. A little safer. Almost walked off the platform. Shit. Run down here. Into your face. Run up here. Get away from you. Okay. Why aren't these hitting him? Am I really missing that often? Alright, it's gonna happen now. I mean, it has to. Has to. Not much time. Unless they keep spawning. In which case, IMF. Okay, run up here. Get away. Can't be that many left, right? They keep coming. Holy shit, I'm at 3? Okay. I'm definitely dead. There's no way I live through this now. I'm 3. 3 health. 3 health. Okay, maybe 4. 5. Sweet, I got 5 health. Great. Great. This is wonderful. 4 and 1. What bugs me is it feels like I'm near the end of this. And I will probably die from one straight bullet. Is the plasma gun splash damaging you? It didn't seem like it was, which is why I kept using it up close. Well, whatever. I'm not doing this now. It's not happening. I'm bolt gunned out. Let's save my position. I will continue some other time. Too bad. All right, let me go through some chats and then get off. Turn this game off. It's very warm in this room right now. I'm not sure you can tell, but I'm sweating. Okay. Is there fall damage? I don't know. I don't think there is. Game request Project Zomboid? I can see what that is. Canadian. Oh, British and Canadian. Survival game. I like the look of it. Pretty good reviews on Steam. If it runs on a Steam Deck, which it looks like it should be able to, then I could definitely play it. It does look pretty cool. All right, I will put that on my wish list. Jonathan says, wow, that was the most cynical, poor showing of support for the only progressive candidate challenging the MSM, mainstream media, I've ever seen. I don't know her intentions if she's trying to sell books, etc., etc. It's so funny because I got criticism on both sides. One side saying, what, her intentions don't matter at all? And then the other side saying that I'm being too critical because I don't know what her intentions are. Because I don't. Do you know what her intentions are? I don't know what her intentions are. So it's you can't win with these people. It doesn't matter. I gave you what I believe to be an accurate assessment of the situation, including the facts and my opinion. And I clearly separated the two. And believe what you want to believe. The reality is, I don't have the power to move mountains. If I was like running CNN, then I'd be like, yeah, have Marianne on. Let's host some debates. Let's have a town hall. Let's push her ideas out there. But I don't have that kind of platform. I don't have that sway over an entire, election cycle. So all I can do is what I can do, which is read the situation and discuss honestly what I think is going to happen and show support for her platform, which I support. It doesn't mean that she's going to win and become president. Like, you have to be realistic about Marianne Williamson's chances without having the mainstream media, or any media really, that has any sway on her side. Have you tried Returnal? Yes. Returnal is great. Great game. All right. What time is it? 11:56. All right, I'll be jumping off shortly. Just checking my stream here. Yeah, it was still artifacting. Weird. Weird stuff. I don't know. So Ren says, David for CEO of CNN. Let's all sign the petition. I mean, I don't know if you've seen recently, there's been reporting about how terribly CNN is doing with Chris Licht now running it, because they're trying to appeal to even more conservative voters, if that was possible. And guess what? They're not going to flock to your network because they're not going to watch you. So even the Trump town hall was, from what I read, not a ratings boon like they suspected or they expected. I think it was like 3 million viewers, which I think I've had videos hit 3 million views. And when it comes to TV ratings, this science on TV ratings is so unscientific. It's hard to really know how many people are actually watching a channel at any given time. They're all just estimates. All right. So this has been fun. I am maybe going to do this tomorrow as well. I don't know. I haven't decided the usual format, or the schedule, I should say, for this show. But probably 2 to 3 times a week is the plan, to do this kind of morning stream and then chop some videos out of it. And so if you missed the stream, you will see. I'll have the video out on Alberta probably today, and then maybe another one. And then the Marianne stuff cut up a bit too. So watch for that. I saw a message about Zelda and I lost it. Where did it go? Oh, this is older. Okay, never mind. There was nothing. Okay. Jonathan says, nobody expects you to move mountains, but you have literally blacked out her candidacy from the start. I covered the launch. I covered her announcement the day it happened. What are you talking about? If you are not informed on what I've actually discussed or the videos I have done, then do not comment saying stupid things as you just have done. It's very, just search Marianne Williamson on my channel. You will see videos that I've done. So that's, not to mention, we also talked about it on Leftist Mafia. We've talked about her. People that are subscribers to this channel that watch my videos know that she exists. It's not like the way YouTube works. I've shown this before. YouTube does not, when it comes to political content, they do not serve these videos to new audiences. This is unlike any other industry or vertical or whatever you want to call it, or genre on YouTube. Political videos are the only ones where most of your views come from current subscribers. Every other, whether it's gaming, whether it's makeup tutorials, whatever else, every other kind of video, most views come from non-subscribers, because of course they would. YouTube is massive. There's lots of people. So your videos should get served up to that massive audience that isn't subscribed to you. But when it comes to politics, they specifically silo your videos to your subscribers, making it very hard to reach out to new audiences, which means the people I talk to generally are already well aware of what I'm discussing, which is really the worst case scenario for me, as what I try to do, because I do try to discuss and educate an audience that may not follow this stuff. But it's the way YouTube clamps down on us. The idea that we have any greater impact outside of our silos is ridiculous, unfortunately. Apart from your own word of mouth and like sharing videos around. But the way the algorithm works, that's not where most of our views come from. And I've already said, if you have the chance, or if you're going to vote in the primary, there's no reason not to vote for someone that's not Joe Biden. Because it's a primary that he's very likely going to win without any issue. So vote for her. I have no issue voting for Marianne Williamson in a primary. Or if she wins the primary in the election. Like, I'm just talking realistically about what's going to happen. And hey, if I'm wrong, if Marianne comes away and she becomes the Democratic nominee, I will replay my videos of me saying that she was not going to do that. I guarantee you that I will be like, look, I was proven wrong. I was wrong. I read this wrong. I was wrong the whole time. But is that going to happen? No. But if she does win, I am committing right now. If Marianne Williamson becomes the Democratic nominee, I will do a video discussing how wrong I was, with clips showing how wrong I was. I have no problem admitting how wrong I will be, because that will be a great day if Biden is so unpopular that he loses his own primary. Like, the very fact that RFK is at 20% shows you that a lot of the support for people that are not Biden are simply because those voters do not want Biden. But when it comes down to it, the majority of people are still going to vote for the incumbent because that's how this shit works. And I have no power over that. All right. 12:03, past my time. All right, got to eat lunch, got to run some errands. Thank you all for showing up and chatting with me. And back tomorrow morning, maybe. I'll see if there's enough stuff I want to discuss. But keep, actually, the way to know, make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you hit the bell notification icon to receive all notifications. Since our viewer base, my viewer base, does come from subscribers, mostly. Again, because we're siloed. So it's very important that you know when stuff actually goes live. But thank you all. And where's my goodbye screen? Where's my goodbye screen? I don't have a button for it for some reason. So it's over here. Goodbye.